Look at this little robot that goes around the airport cleaning things. No, don't run away from me. I appreciate your work. I just think it's sweet. Oh my god, hey.
Hello.
You find us, once again, at an airport.
Yes.
Where are we, Aeron James?
Heathrow.
Where are we trying to go?
Who knows anyway?
We are trying...
We're going to Canada. Let's just go with the whole country because...
We are going to Canada. Surprise, everybody. Aeron and I are going to Canada for the first time. Woohoo! I'm wearing a thematic travel hat. This is from a previous Broadway Bears, and I'm pretty sure...
I think it was a flea... No.
I don't think it was flea market. I think I got this from the fundraising when we did the charity fun run.
Yes, maybe, yeah.
The fun run. The very serious 5K that you lovely people helped me raise over $10,000 for Broadway Cares Equity Fight AIDS. And I think as part of that I got this hat, but it matches my all beige travel outfit that I will show you more of momentarily. We are attempting, and in the course of this vlog we will go to Gander, Newfoundland, which is the place in Canada where the musical Come From Away takes place, where they are also producing a non-replica version of the show for the second year in a row this summer, and we are trying to go and see it there over the next few days, but we are not going today. We were meant to be going today,
but the first flight got delayed.
The first flight is delayed by an hour and a half, which
means we can't get the second flight, which will go to Gander directly.
It scuppered the connection,
yeah.
Because there's only one flight a day from Montreal, which is where we're going first, to Gander, and we're going to miss that one flight, basically. So we're going to spend the evening in Montreal. Hopefully Air Canada are providing us with a hotel. We will not find that out until we arrive, so this is a bit of an adventure. I
woke up this morning to be told, for you to tell me, just like, so...
I woke up to texts, and then you woke up and I was like, everything's fine.
But we're not going to Gander today, and it was like, and then you were like, but we're still going to the airport, and I was like, I
initially misread it and thought everything was just pushed to tomorrow, and I was going to be like, go back to sleep, and then I read it again, I was like, oh no, our flight is still happening.
Sadly, internally, I think with the travelling and everything, there's part of me that was like, oh, we're lying, actually. But no,
we've been at the airport for a really long time.
So long,
we got here at 7.
We got through security at 7. It's 9 now.
Yeah.
And our flight's not now until 11:05.
In fact, it's nearly 10 because we were meant to get our gate information at 9:50, and 9:50 came and went, and we still don't have our gate information.
No, so we've been here a long time.
Yeah.
We'll have been here 4 hours before we fly.
Yeah.
Which annoyingly, for my brain, as somebody that's not very I'm a lot more used to flights now than I was, but still I get a bit nervous about them. The amount of time that we've been here is 2/3 of the flight there.
It is. Is that reassuring, or is that just making you more...
No, that's really not. That's really extra
the
timing. I'm a bit I could have been flying for this time and it would have been over with.
The Air Canada staff that we've spoken to have been very helpful so far and reassuring us. We've got 2 flights tomorrow because it was meant to just be 2 to get to Gander, and now it's going to be 3 to get to Gander. Oh, the vacuum cleaning robot's coming back. I love the vacuum cleaning robot. But yeah, you'll see all of that tomorrow. First, we're going to just try and get to Canada and then legally enter the country.
Yeah. And then hopefully have somewhere to stay.
Yeah.
I mean, we arrive at 1 p.m. their time. Was it later now?
Yeah, I think so. Look at this. I love your work.
I love how he has a little badge that says I'm busy cleaning, as if it's worried that you're going to try and have a conversation with it, and it's no, I'm at work.
I've been having conversations with it, but it's like a dog with a job. You have to respect the professionalism. Anyway, we're going to go figure out where our plane is, get on the plane, and then show you how to get to Canada. I was absent-mindedly checking my phone while we were walking through the airport, and Aeron is now on a travelator, and I'm having to walk to keep up with him. I don't like this. Plot twist. We were at B44, so we're going back to B44, which is our gate. We got our gate information just after I finished telling you we were going to go and look for it, and then we started walking the wrong way, but I can see our plane. It's just taxied in. It is just arriving now. Hopefully it's a speedy turnaround, but it's all moot at this point. There really is no hope of us making our connection because we have to legally enter the country and do all that stuff.
And our baggage is now going to be collect out.
Yeah, so the dream is very much over in terms of getting to Gander today, but we're trying not to let that besmirch the trip. It's happening. Plane number 1, day number 1. We will keep that tally going. And we are on the plane, everybody. There you go, basically on the wing. It's just started raining as we leave London, which seems like good timing. But we are officially flying with Air Canada today, our first time flying with this airline. And in about 7 hours' time, we should be landing in Montreal. Those of you who've watched my travel vlogs before may remember I'm committed to finding the musicals on the in-flight entertainment. There's quite a few on Air Canada, so you've got Hairspray there, but already I've scrolled past the Cats movie, the Dear Evan Hansen movie, the Billy Elliot live on stage recording. They also, they had Prince of Egypt as well. Oh, Hedwig and the Angry Inch, the new Mean Girls. Some more things that will come to me, but probably the most filmed musicals and movie musicals that I've seen on any airline so far, I think. So yay for Air Canada. In the Heights, I watched that recently on the way back from New York. On trips past, I've actually listened to 38 Planes Reprise from Come From Away at the moment of takeoff. Oh, no, well, we're definitely not taking off yet because we're still turning. But yeah, something quite exciting about being in a plane to go see Come From Away. 38, 38, 30, 38, 38, 30, 38, 38, 30, 30, 30, 38 planes. And we're away. Goodbye, London. Hello, sky. With another new airline, we get another gluten-free meal for Aaron James. I see a gluten-free bread roll. I see a little suggestion of a salad. I see melon. I think we see there's a little water. Show us the water. Oh my God! Hey, and then the main attraction. Going on here, nice. We got salmon, we got veg, got a lemon, got some potatoes. That'll do. Not bad for food in the sky. And for my comparatively glutinous meal, I've got bread. I've got what looks like a little lemony cake thing there. I've got my own little salad. I have Cathedral City cheddar. And they asked me chicken or pasta, and I said, you don't need to tell me twice. I didn't say that. I said chicken, otherwise they wouldn't have known which I was selecting. This is a chicken teriyaki situation with some rice and some vegetables over there as well. There you go. And I got magic stars at the airport before we left, so that will be after all of this. Now, it's not that I would ever wish for a plane I'm on to have to make an unexpected landing, but the next half hour or so are going to be particularly painful because we are going to pass directly over Gander, Newfoundland, the place we are desperately trying to get to, the place we're not currently sure how we're going to get to because the itinerary they've given us is a little dubious for tomorrow. They want us to make a 32-minute change in Halifax, and I'm a little concerned. So right now, still don't know completely what we're going to do, whether we're going to stay in Montreal this evening, whether we're going to try and get to Halifax this evening, whether there's a secret option number 3. All I know is we're about to be directly above where we need to be in a few minutes' time. And I'm going to try not to think about that. Several hours later, we are about to descend down through the clouds and head into Montreal. Whereupon chaos will ensue. But that's fine. And there she is. Bienvenue à Montreal, I guess. It's Canada. Yeah, slightly bumpy. Okay, we are off the first plane. Yeah. That was a 7-hour flight. We're now going through connections, and there's a dozen things to do that I'll tell you about later. Okay, don't get excited. We're not about to see it, but we found Waitress in Montreal at the Saint-Denis Theatre. Waitress, La Comédie Musicale. Everything here is in French, because Montreal, very French-speaking part of Canada. I don't know if the show is in French. That's a question mark. It does look like, is it just the tour? I think it's just the tour. It's only here for a little bit. And also Tootsie, because absolutely why not? Speaking of Francais, we have PFK rather than KFC. Poulet fried Kentucky, basically. The French love a rearranged acronym. So, some explanation for you as to where we are and what we're doing. We're walking around Montreal right now because we have like a 4-hour layover.
Yeah, we're killing time.
Yeah, our travel plans have adapted and evolved and changed so many times today.
At one point we were staying here.
At one point, yeah. So when I woke up this morning and everything had shifted because of that one delayed flight, the plan that it had automatically made for us was to fly to Montreal on the same delayed flight, stay here at a hotel that was provided for us by Air Canada, and then fly to Halifax tomorrow, and then from there on to Gander. Now, I wasn't completely comfortable with the timings of that because there was a 32-minute gap between the arrival to Halifax and the departure from Halifax to Gander, like literally between the estimated arrival time and the departure time for the next flight. And 32 minutes, like, I'm sure it was, it probably would have, it could have been fine.
Well, everybody here said, oh, that's really normal. And like, I've been to like the quiet small ones before, and like I kind of get that it could be super quiet and easy, but at the same time,
there's every possibility it could have been fine. There's also every possibility there's so many slight things that could have gone wrong.
Yeah.
I've been on planes before where there's been a 30-minute delay just waiting for someone to bring the stairs. Like, it was just too close in with bags as well. I had visions of like, we make it and our luggage doesn't, or our luggage makes it and we don't, and yeah. There's only one flight a day from most of these airports to Gander. Gander is hard to get to, which is what went wrong for us today. So instead, we called up, and Air Canada, we've spoken to some really helpful members of staff today, and some very encouraging ones, and they allowed us to book onto a different flight this evening, which is at like 10:53. It's like 11 p.m. and it's going to get to Halifax at like 1 a.m. where hopefully we'll get a hotel. Yeah. And then we'll be there for like 10 hours before the flight to Gander. So it's not ideal, like 24 hours of planes, basically, more than 24 hours of planes, just like in the show.
It's been a lot.
But we'll get there eventually, and it's more comfortable this way. Yeah. But in the meantime, we took a bus into downtown Montreal, where they're having a jazz festival.
Like an international jazz festival, whenever.
Yeah, and we're checking that out, as well as local theatres and just like the vibes of the place. Yeah, we've already seen Tim Hortons, which is exciting, and we're looking for poutine, because I would like to try poutine. Aaron's had poutine. I haven't had poutine, and neither of us have had poutine in Canada, because we just got to Canada for the first time. But yeah, having a nice time. It's very warm. We got some poutine. We made a pilgrimage to this place behind me called Poutineville. There seem to be a bunch of them here. Poutineville. I wanted to try poutine. Aaron's had it before. And, you know, travel days are weird. Like, travel days moving between time zones, very weird. And I don't know if you know this, Gander, where we're going tomorrow for Come From Away, is a different time zone to the rest of Canada by like an hour and a half, I think. Like, it's not like a set number of hours out, it's half. Anyway, moving between different time zones, being on planes, getting given meals on planes that don't necessarily align to the meals you were expecting based on the time zone you were in at the beginning, all very weird. So you just gotta like, do you feel hungry? Do you want a little bit of a snack? And just go with that. And I guess try and adjust to the new time zone that you're in. It kind of feels like 7 o'clock to me, and it's like 20 to 6. So we're getting there. We're getting closer to feeling like we're in the right place, which is good, because we're going to be up quite late, because our flight is only landing in Halifax at 1 a.m. before hopefully we get into a hotel. We still don't really know, but it's an adventure. Anyway, here's Aaron James in his very appropriate Les Miserables t-shirt, because very French here in Montreal. I got called Boucher earlier, which is
a few times.
Which, yeah. There is a place here called, I guess it's Boucherville. I would call it Boucherville, and there's an IKEA there. There's a Boucherville IKEA, which my family would enjoy very much, let me tell you. Walking back the way we came, again, waitress here at this theatre, and also an ad for La Cage aux Folles. They have other shows coming up. I noticed La Famille Adams, the Addams family, if you weren't sure, and you can see what I understand to be a big Montreal landmark down at the end there. Big old wheel. I don't think we're going to have time to walk over to the water and see all of that. Why does this Le Cage-Fall artwork, oh, it's gone now, kind of look like Sweeney Todd, is what I was going to say. Do you know what? We've just been saying it's been a hard day. It's been a challenging day of, I don't know if I've told you already, when I wasn't working on the plane, which consisted of like writing a review article for a theatre magazine, what else did I do? I'm judging a competition about new musical theatre writing, so I was listening to like 30 different new musical theatre songs and making notes on those and kind of making thumbnails and stuff. But when I wasn't doing that, I was spending the whole time looking at other flight possibilities and looking at other things we could do, and I was liaising back and forth online in a chat with Air Canada, and also chatting with like our liaisons in Gander about like the plans and everything, and just trying to keep it on. So it's been a busy day of stress and worrying, and I think even getting here and exploring, we've still both been quite anxious, and sitting down and having that poutine and just enjoying the very cultural vibes of Montreal have both done us a world of good. So we're feeling much better now and looking forward to the next part of our journey. They're also doing circus things here, it's not just jazz. Listen, it's all going on here in Montreal. Case in point, it's giving Barnum and Big Elephant. It's giving the elephant from Water for Elephants if it was cool. Okay, this was very quiet when we walked through earlier, but the Montreal Jazz Festival is popping off now, let me tell you. Oh my god, hey. Hello. We are back in the airport, Montreal Airport, Montreal. Our flight's like 10:50, basically 11 p.m. We got here at like 7, very early.
It's only 11 minutes past 8.
Very early. I'm next to a charging hub, charging all the devices. I've spent a lot of time on my phone today, feverishly trying to check departure times and other things. And we have meal vouchers, yeah, that we can use in the airport as a result of our spectacularly delayed travel plans that are seeing us arriving not 24 hours later than we were meant to, but approaching it. So yeah, chilling. Might get a beverage. Gonna eat something soon. Montreal. I can't say it. We are going for a wander to keep ourselves awake. I don't know if I'm hungry.
I think this is the issue when you've been awake so long, and because like you get fed on the big long flight.
Yeah.
And then we had food in Montreal.
Yeah, and it's like a weird. Our bodies think it's like midnight.
Yeah, my body's a bit confused. It's like how many meals in one day?
Yeah. Edmonton. There's a theatre there.
Yes.
There's a theatre there.
Reading about that.
Yeah.
They had some fun things on from what I can remember.
My brain could work it out if it wasn't so tired. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, I've got like $60 worth of food vouchers going on in one of these pockets. I've got so many pockets. This is a great airport outfit. I will show it to you later if I remember. Urban Crave.
Oh, they do poutine.
Oh, look at that sandwich. They do poutine. Yeah, and yet not hungry. But I think the vouchers are valid at multiple airports for the better part of a year. So
at least we don't have to rush.
there. Flight 2 done. And just like that, we are in a Hilton hotel in, where are we? Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Yeah, no, the UK one.
We're in Nova Scotia. We're in our 3rd time zone since waking up this morning.
We gained an hour.
Gone forwards an hour. It's going to change again when we go to Gander. I think I've told you this already.
Half an hour.
I say, and just like that, we're in the hotel. It was not without its challenges, because all day today we've sort of alternately encountered very helpful people and then sort of obstructions and roadblocks, sort of varying levels of support and understanding and reassurance. and they were incredibly reluctant to give us a hotel voucher when we arrived at 1 a.m. at a basically empty airport. Like, they were all about to leave.
Yeah.
And we would have been
Stuck
and stranded, basically. But stood my ground. Basically, there was just a weird technicality where, like, according to what they had on the system, the reason for our first delay was different to what
everybody else had said.
To what everyone else had been saying all day. But I showed them the text that I got first thing this morning to say mechanical issue with the plane. I showed them the voucher we'd been given for a hotel in Montreal before we amended our journey, before we asked for our journey to be amended, and it was amended. The check-in agent at Montreal also said that a note would be added about the hotel
being added to
on our arrival. So said all of this, showed the voucher. My encouragement to anyone who finds themselves in this situation is to read up on your rights from the airline and under European law, because those are two different things.
Yeah.
In the event of displacement and failed journeys, basically, and stand your ground, and do so in a way that is still kind and polite, because that always gets you further, but firm, because I was not leaving that desk without the hotel voucher that I knew we were entitled to and we would be completely stuck without.
Yeah.
And they initially had no plans to give us, but we got. So now we're going to sleep for like 6 hours and then set a billion alarms to make sure we wake up to get the flight to Gander tomorrow, which will get us in a little bit earlier than we would have got in yesterday. Hopefully we'll get in at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and then we will finally be there, and hopefully, third flight lucky, we will actually be in our destination.
Yay!
And it will all be a little bit calmer. So I will see you tomorrow. In fact, let me quickly show you. Let's do a hotel room tour. Big bed. You know, we're looking for the silver linings today, and I think it is a nice room. This is as much of a silver lining as we can find. There you go. There you go. There's a bathroom. I'll probably have a shower in the morning because I'm wearing 2 different plane journeys right now. But I'm gonna go to bed. Oh my god, hey! Good morning, Halifax, Nova Scotia. Bam! Feeling positive, feeling good this morning, feeling well rested, feeling very glad to have made the decision to come here ahead of heading off to Gander today. I've had a shower and it has restored me as a human being. Before we head to the airport, which we're trying not to do too early because it's just a local flight, and even my Air Canada app says we don't need to be there earlier than an hour and a half before the flight. Which I think we still might be there a little bit before that, but not much. I want to show you my plane outfit, much talk of this yesterday. So this is all new, comfortable Zara coords, matchy-matchy. I keep seeing discourse on social media and TikToks of people being like, why I swapped the sweatpants for a suit on flights and people treat me better and I feel better, and I'm like, it doesn't have to be an either or. You can have the best of both worlds. You can have it all, people. You can be comfortable, which I am incredibly comfortable right now, and you can also be dressed smartly. I love a nice smart plain outfit. This one has giant pockets. I can put my passport and travel documents up in here. I can put my phone. I can put money in here. I've got a matching hat. Excuse me. But also shoe change once we get on the plane. This is brand new to Aeron and I. We're Crocs people now. Look! They also match the outfit. How cute is that? I'm sorry, it's very cute. So yeah, we now both have our own Crocs, so we are Croc Monsieurs, especially when we're in the French part of Canada. We're gonna get ready and head into Halifax Airport to get on our 3rd plane in 2 days to go to Gander. This is the view from our hotel room window, by the way. Many trees. This is kind of as much of Halifax, Nova Scotia as we're really going to get to see. It would have been nice to see a little bit more of it, but obviously we are trying to get somewhere. Do you want to know how tired I was last night? Didn't even notice the Holiday Inn Express and Suites next door. Did not notice. We are going to go get an airport shuttle down from the main reception to take us back to the airport. Okay, we're in Halifax Airport, and something very exciting is happening. Did I say airport? Airport. Halifax Airport. We're in Halifax Airport now, and something very exciting is happening. We are getting, take a look at Aeron's cup, Tim Hortons. We're getting our first Tim Hortons in Canada, because we've been to a few in the UK.
Yeah, because one was located right, like I used to walk to it from my house.
There you go. But we got like sausage breakfasty farmer's wraps. I got a cookie. Breakfast of champions. We're still, who's surprised, very early for this flight, just done the easiest bag drop in the world, and we'll go through security after breakfast, and then go and wait for hopefully the last plane to take us to Gander. We're getting on the plane. We are getting on a plane to Gander from gate 3. It's here. It's on time. Our bags are on the plane. Finally, it's happening. Yay. We're going to be travelling forwards in time another half hour, because...
It's very weird going back in time so much.
Yeah.
And then, like, working the way back to the UK.
We went back 5 hours, then we went forward 1 hour, now we're going forward another half hour.
Which actually would be an amusing way if you were heading back to the UK.
To slowly get used to it. Yeah. I don't know what time my body thinks it is. Oh, I can actually show you the plane this time. There it is. This is our plane. It's going to take us to Gander, Newfoundland. This is a Dash 8, I believe, in my limited plane knowledge. Smallest plane we've been on thus far, but still not tiny. Stayed in. Goodbye, Halifax, Nova Scotia. From one island to another, we are now flying over Newfoundland. Everybody, we will soon be touching down in Gander. How exciting is that? I can't wait to see the airport. I can see a rainbow sign over there that says Gander on the road. I can see Shoppers. It's Shoppers. It's actually called Shoppers. So this is the tarmac, absolutely massive, and not many planes. And we're going into the airport here. Look what we found in the airport. You are here at the start of a moment. Welcome to the Rock. Come from away, the remarkable true story. And that's why we're here. I make this joke every single time, but da 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 da. Get it? It's carousel, because it's a baggage carousel. We are looking out for the Playbill luggage, the Playbill travel luggage tags even. Although Aeron has lost one of his. Aeron's suitcase doesn't have one anymore because it got lost in transit somewhere between Montreal and Halifax. We're just being shown the international terminal that features in the plot of Come From Away, and this is much of it as it was at the time back in 2001, as it is described in the show. What you're seeing down the end there, that's the first escalator in Newfoundland. What's newer is this little memorial area they've made here, and it has this fantastic view of, like I told you, this enormous runway area here. Look at the sign there. Look at that. Welcome to Gander. We're here, we made it. Oh, I'm so happy. There are boards here telling the history of 9/12 and what happened here in Gander when all of the planes were rerouted. You can see some more of the information, kind of get a sense of the scale of it here, because this is information about all of the 38 planes. As mentioned in the musical Come From Away, you can see there you go, this is all the different planes coming in and landing, all of the chaos. And then some photos from the time. That giant bird-looking thing is Commander Gander, also mentioned in the show. And this, incredibly special, as also mentioned in the show, is one of the pieces of steel from the World Trade Center, presented to Gander International Airport on September 11th, 2016, as depicted at the end of the show. But the show itself is also such a big deal to this community that it is also commemorated here. And this picture up here happens to be the West End cast. That's Rachel Tucker there, and the show's original West End cast in Come From Away. With, look at that, press quotes, images from different productions, and then lots more history. Let's come over here. So here you go, you've got history of the show and the origins of the show. We have some original ticket stubs there. We've got photos of, I'm seeing lots of the original Broadway cast. There's a signed playbill. That's them getting screeched in. We have sheet music. This is Beverly Bass there. I dare say, is that Beverly and Tom? I feel like it might be. And this is Beowulf Borrett's original maquette. Little model box there, showing you the original production set design. Now we're seeing a non-replica production this evening, which means different set design, so we won't be seeing this. But this is the version, of course, that was on Broadway in the West End, and minus the Revolve, currently touring the UK. Now, of course, that particular chapter is just one chapter in the history of Gander Airport, and it's really a fascinating airport, as a fascinating history that's also touched on in the show in terms of how pivotal it was in terms of transatlantic aviation and how that sort of changed, but there's a lot of that history shown here as well. And look, I told you about time zones. London, it is currently 6:15 in the evening. They're in the midst of a presidential, I'm in the wrong continent. They're in the midst of a general election in the UK that we voted preemptively for. We submitted postal votes at the start of this week. Montreal and New York, a few hours behind there, 1:15, 5 hours behind. And then Gander, out by an hour and a half ahead of Montreal and New York, 3.5 hours behind London. And you've got Moscow down there for good measure. Michael, the producer, has just been walking me around and sort of giving the quotes from the show that refer to each location, and this was the part where one of the characters says, "Oh my gosh, we've gone back in time because of the flooring and the furniture and everything," and like I said, first ever escalator. I'm just signing a little book to say that we've been brought here by the musical Come From Away, and I've utterly failed to realise that you meant to put names on the left and message on the right.
People come here, you can find it.
Yeah. If anyone comes here, come find our message from Mickey, Joe, and Aeron. Just spotted this beneath the iconic mural is the Gander International Airport piano, sponsored by Come From Away. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? Alongside a handful of faces here, we recognise Captain Beverly Bass, who I last saw on stage at the Phoenix Theatre for the final West End performance of Come From Away. She is, of course, depicted in the show, and it remains very close to her heart. There's also a gift shop. Aaron's already found a Come From Away hoodie. We've got Come From Away merchandise. We also have Gander things here. Look, there's Commander Gander. Again, I can't say Commander Gander. It doesn't work. Gander International Airport. I want to get something Gander specifically. Look, you can see more Gander merch here, and then Come From Away. I have those socks and I brought them with me. There you go. How fortuitous. Oh my god, hey. We are here. I'm going to speak quietly because it's very quiet. We have just checked into our hotel for what is now a one-night stay, because we were meant to get here yesterday and we are just now getting here today. But we are seeing the show this evening here in Gander, and on the way here, the show's producer, one of the show's producers, Michael Rubinoff, was giving us the tour of like some of the key Come From Away spots.
It was so cool.
It was very cool, and like all of, obviously, because he's producing the show here, but he's also produced the show worldwide and originally and developed the show and on Broadway. So like few people in the world know Come From Away better than Michael Rubinoff.
What's really cool is like when you go around the town, when you find all the iconic locations, like it's become like I don't know, when you go to royal places or
it's a big deal here. It's very, there's a lot of pride in it, I think.
There's like literally all the major sites from the musical, but also obviously real life. There are signs that say come from away.
Yeah.
Official site or come from away.
Yeah, with quotes from the show that refer to those things.
So if you came here as like coming here to see everything, you could literally just see the signs and find everything part of it. Like we literally got to go inside the world's biggest refrigerator,
aka the hockey rink at the community centre. We saw the Legion. Mm-hmm. We saw
Gander, the Academy.
Oh yeah, we saw Gander Academy, which has been recently rebuilt. Suspiciously in blue and yellow.
Yeah.
The Shoppers is a different Shoppers.
But we saw the original.
The Tim Hortons is the same. So the Tim Hortons is the same. We drove down Airport Boulevard.
Yeah. We're showing where the Comfort. Is it Comfort Inn?
Yeah. The Comfort Inn.
Beverly Bass stayed.
Yeah, which is like the hotel room phone where she performs
Me and the Sky.
Me and the Sky. But yeah, so many little local references. We're going to do a little bit more this afternoon, a little bit more tomorrow as well. We're seeing the show this evening. I don't know if I've really talked to you about what this production of the show is. So obviously, if you don't know, Come From Away is a musical based on the true events that took place in the wake of 9/11 when the American airspace was closed in the immediate aftermath of the events, and planes had to be redirected, and 38 planes were forced to land unexpectedly in Gander, Newfoundland, which had the capacity to take all these planes on its tarmac because it used to be one of the biggest airports in the world because it's on the edge of the Atlantic Ocean, and before they invented planes that could get across in one go, planes had to stop there and refuel, which is also why it had been visited by a lot of celebrities, and still is, because a lot of private jets, which are smaller, still stop there to refuel, apparently, which is something I hadn't realised. But where did I get up to? The community, so the airport had the capacity to take all these people in, the community did not, and yet they did anyway. So both community of Gander, as well as other local communities and other local towns, performed this extraordinary act of selflessness and charity and benevolence in taking in all of these come from aways, is what the people are called, all of these unexpected guests, and that is the story as told in the musical Come From Away. It was a huge hit on Broadway. It is beloved by the theatre community, and then subsequently in the West End. It's currently on tour in the UK, it's toured the US, it's been in Canada, and another production's opening in Canada, because that production was kind of, I guess, like interfered with, like, COVID kind of tripped them up a little bit. But last year, for the first time, they've done concerts of the show here before, but last year, for the first time, a non-replica production, so different creative elements, different set design, different direction, I guess, was staged here in Gander, and this summer, for the second summer in a row, they're doing it again, and that's the production that we have come to see. There are two of the Broadway cast members playing different roles than the roles they played in the original Broadway cast in this show, but we'll tell you more about that later. But that is why we have flown to Gander, and we're thrilled to be here, and we will get changed now, I think, and venture outside and show you more. Aeron's already wearing his summery coords. I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to change into shorts. It's really warm. I've brought like a lot of like plaids and body warmers because I was like wintry Canadian vibes. That's not the weather.
Wintry Canadian vibes.
I know.
It's like 22 degrees.
I need to do a little haul of what we bought at the gift shop at... first of all, like, most airports are just airports, but...
Well, if they have gift shops, it's normally just like country merch, like...
Gander International Airport is a fun place to visit because it's got so much cool history, and it's quite quiet because there's now not that many flights that come in and out.
It's just domestic flights.
Yeah. So I'm going to show you what we bought at the airport gift shop. Aeron is modelling his new Come From Away hoodie. Tell us about this, Aeron.
So this is, I'm gathering it's either from, it's official merch from when the original production, don't know what period of time this was from, but I had to get it because I'd been lamenting the fact that I only had a t-shirt of Come From Away, and like we're quite big into the hoodies, and I was always like, just love the design, so I was like, I have to get it.
Look at that. Hold on, lift your head up at the back. He is an islander, and we are here. We are very much here. We're probably going to share this hat, but it's super cute because it is Come From Away merch, but it's got a moose on the front. It says Welcome to the Rock, but it just looks like I don't know, just like a generic Canadian hat. It doesn't scream show merch, which I sometimes enjoy. This is like a cute vintage style t-shirt that I liked. It's like a big G. It says Gander International Airport. Gander is tops. And then I had to get Commander Gander. You know how I feel about show plush. Look at his little face. There you go. Had to get Commander Gander. Maybe we'll take him around this afternoon, seeing the sights of Gander. So I don't know if you spotted this from the sky, but I did. It's the Gander Pride sign. Yay! By which I, of course, mean gay. And therefore, yay. It is right across the street from where we're staying here at the Albatross Hotel. Aeron James, fit check in front of the Gander Pride sign. Show us the outfit. Stylish. Boom, boom, boom. With the notebook cap. We are going for an explore around Gander for a few hours before the show itself. And I'm trying to give you a sense as we go around of just how spread out things are here. What was that ooh for?
Oh, frozen root beer, $2.
There you go.
Frozen root beer. I love root beer.
Aaron's excited about the prospect of frozen root beer. And we are on a bit of a pilgrimage to go and find something important. But first, root beer from the A&W. So we're walking around and we have just seen a community playground called the Lions Club Community Playground, which I assume is related to the for the love of God, stop bringing toilet paper to the Lions Club, which is one of my favourite lines in the show. But also, low-flying plane just went overhead and we were like, private jet, what is it? What was it, Aeron James?
A plane that we would have caught if we'd got the direct from Montreal.
Yeah, so that's the one flight a day from Montreal, because it's about 4:45. So yeah, that's that one. That was the flight we were meant to get in on, but yesterday. We're walking towards Cobb's Pond, I think, but just seeing a little bit more Gander. Look at this idyllic setting, and then you see the Phantom of the lesser known musical, The Phantom of the Northwoods. It's the Lynx Canadensis. Reserve levy. This, by the way, is Airport Boulevard, as in the kids sometimes cross Airport Boulevard to go to school and stuff. Which is a line said early on, right at the beginning of the show, by a character based on a real life person who we met earlier at the airport. That's the day that we're having today. We met 3 people there, upon whom characters in the show are completely or partly based. So that was cool. Also, speaking of wildlife, I would quite like to see a moose while I'm here, but this is very much like I don't think the mooses are walking around the residential neighbourhoods. And I think unless we go to some sort of a wildlife thing, I think we're even less likely to see one in Toronto.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Where do you find the moose? There are moose hunting activities, but I don't want to hunt the moose.
And we've also been told to be careful because they're massive.
Yeah, they're huge, and the issues with getting hit by cars, which we don't drive and aren't planning to drive, but would like to see a moose. So we've come down to Cobb's Pond, which we've just been walking alongside, and it's gorgeous. I'll show you the actual pond. It's really more of a lake, but then Gander Lake is a much bigger lake, so maybe that's why. I'll show you that in a second, but we came to pay tribute to this tree that was planted last summer in honour of Laura, who is a huge Come From Away fan who sadly passed away in 2023. And it reads, "The kindest Come From Away fan, loved by all, to the ones who've left, you're never truly gone." And here is the tree, planted in Laura's honour, standing proudly in Gander, Newfoundland, which I think is very lovely. Laura was very much embedded in the Come From Away fan community. I met her once when I was vlogging the show's reopening performance post-COVID and post-pandemic, when I was just like outside the theatre talking to a camera, and she and another fan came up and offered me a shot of Screech, which was very lovely, and I think she would really love that her tree is in Gander. Actual Newfoundland rum, which I am both intrigued and terrified by.
You should be.
Should we do it? Oh god.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Down the hatch.
Oh wow. See, there you go, that's Cobb's Pond. There's a trail that we just walked on to get here, but it is very big. I really would more of a lake, I would say, but really very beautiful. Also, thank you to Lydia, who I think came here last summer with a whole pilgrimage of UK Come From Away fans, for telling me where to find the tree. And that is the same Lydia, aka Theatrical Lydia, who is following the Come From Away tour and perpetrating random acts of kindness all around the UK. And if you haven't already checked that out, go and look her up on Instagram, Theatrical Lydia, which is something of a hub for all of the work that she's doing. Where are we going? I don't know. This way. In spreading kindness and paying that forward alongside the tour of Come From Away, which is something that Laura had wanted to do and Lydia is doing in her honour. Okay, went back to our hotel, charged some electronic devices, washed my hair, did something different to it. What's the Legion?
Yeah.
Oh, is this the Legion?
This is the Legion.
Oh, we're right next to the Legion. We've been right next to the Legion this whole time. The Legion. The Legion, everyone. Maybe I could have...
That's the sign. They came from Alexa.
Oh yeah, and they've got on those little signs. We'll show you. We will show you later on our way back.
There's this academy.
Down there you can see Gander Academy. It really is all very close together. Well spotted, Eagle Eyes, Aeron, James. I was going to say, we're now on our way to the Performing Arts Centre, where Come From Away is being performed this evening. This is something like their 5th preview, but this is a very exciting one because lots of special people are here to watch, including the Governor General of Canada, which we're told is an extremely big deal. So that will be exciting. I think she is sat in the same row as us. So, best behaviour and dressed nice. It's still incredibly warm, so it's like the summery version of dressed nice for the theatre, but also I bought this plaid shirt and it is a nice shirt, so I was like, I kind of bought it to wear in Gander, to fit in with the locals, gay lumberjack style. That's not me being mean, that's, if you've seen the show, that means something to you. It remains just incredibly quiet. Like, does it get busier than this?
Not many people.
No, we haven't really encountered many people or seen that. Like, there's bits of traffic, but it really is very quiet.
There's also loads of stars on loads of houses.
Yeah, we keep seeing stars, like, but everyone has got like the same big stars on their houses. We didn't know if it was a Canada Day decoration. I mean, there's not that many stores, so if one store was selling Canada Day stars, maybe a bunch of places bought them, I don't know. Once again, because we're unexpectedly walking past it, Gander Academy.
In blue and yellow.
In blue and yellow. Do you have, of all the Come From Away things we've seen today, what's been your most like, oh my gosh, we're really there and that's the real place that was?
Weirdly, the world's largest freezer.
The hockey rink.
Yeah, I think it's because it was a mix of things. Like I was home to you when we were in there. I think one, just seeing it and going like, oh, this was the hockey rink that all of that happened in. But then also, it really kicked in that we were in Canada because I loved the Mighty Ducks films growing up, and that was all set in the hockey rinks and that. So it just kind of hit home to me that they're like, oh yeah, we're here, and that's a thing, because like hockey rinks there's a rare few in the UK, but it's definitely not cultural. Sure. We just saw them in Inside Out 2. Yeah. It's a very Canadian thing, mainly. Yeah. I mean, American as well, but mainly Canadian.
And here we are at the Gander Community Centre and Arts and Culture Centre. That's a lot of things it's the centre for. We have Come From Away Gander, running between June 28th and the 1st of September this summer. You are here. As you can already tell, different production because different artwork, different colours. The school's going to have to, remodel themselves in a whole different colour scheme now, because this one isn't giving blue and yellow so much, but it is the Joseph R. Smallwood Arts and Culture Centre, and we're going to head inside and go see more of Come From Away here in Gander. So to go with this different aesthetic for the show that they're using for this production here, we also have different merchandise. I'll show you as much of it as I can get to, but I can also show you the price list. There you go. We've got prices of things there, but that is the t-shirt that has the smaller white Come From Away logo with You Are Here in a cursive font underneath, and then that's Gander on the back there. In fact, that is Newfoundland and Labrador on the back with Gander pointed out that says You Are Here. They've also got a little hat. They've got multiple drinking receptacles, including a shooter glass and a small tumbler. You can get larger tumblers at the bar area where we may go next. They've got this sweatshirt with the same design as the t-shirt, and I also filmed close-ups of a pin, a magnet, a keyring and a luggage tag, which hopefully I am showing you while I'm saying this. Now this is something I remember them having in the West End. You could put a little pin to show where you were visiting from, and they've had visitors. Wow, look at all the places. So a lot from the US and Canada, a decent amount of UK, handful in Europe, some Northern Africa there. That looks like Russia. This is a horrible thing for me to jump into with my terrible geography knowledge. Japan, I think, over there. India, perhaps. Lots on the eastern coast of Australia. South Africa down there. South America. Wow. All these people who have come to Gander, Newfoundland, just to see this production of Come From Away. Aeron's going to put a pin in to show where we came from, which is kind of, I mean, there's a lot on the UK there. Just aim for vaguely. That's... There you go. That'll do. How cute! So this is the set design for this production. All those things you're seeing on the back sloping wall there is a quilt. They put out a call for people to donate these, and of course, it being Come From Away, they got back thousands more than they expected, so now they are all over the walls of the auditorium and on the set, and they came to grab two from the auditorium. They added them to the set at the end of the performance, and they all represent different things from the time, whether those are flags, whether those are feelings. There's a rainbow flag over there. There's some of them represent dishes that were served. You can still see the trees, sort of familiar with the original stage version set, the Broadway West End version, and also the floor design there is meant to represent a clock, which is used as a clever staging motif throughout the show. And then sort of zooming out, this is the auditorium, goes back up there. This is what it looks like. This is the space. Sobbed. Like, it's so different, and it's the same, and it's so different, and
it's so much about the material,
and it hits so different because the things that are funny to the rest of the world aren't funny here, but things that are charming here and things that are fascinating and meaningful.
And it adds so much depth to like certain things that we're saying when you realise.
But from seeing the places today, I've seen Come From Away. You've seen it more, I think, but like 3 or 4 times. I could picture everything, and I was like, "This is hitting me so much harder because I can see it all, and I know where they were, and we've been there today, and the hockey rink is behind there.
It's gonna be so interesting as well, like seeing the creator
Yeah.
and like seeing because we've seen this production here. And
But it's still going to break me again because I'm still going to have known.
There's depth, and I think about it, all have sat with us for a bit as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're about to do a thing on the stage because we were sat in a whole row of
Come from the
people.
The people here, the people that are in the show.
Yeah, the real people upon whom the characters are based was the row we were sat with. They're doing a post-show photo op on stage right now. What you're seeing is cast, crew, producers, the Canadian Governor General, the real-life people upon whom the characters are based. Who else? I think the current mayor of Gander is in the mix there as well. It's a snapshot of community, which is what this show so beautifully depicts. They're still chatting on stage, and we're the only people sat in the auditorium where we were instructed to remain.
But it's that thing. It's just very cool to just sit here and look around. It's very cute theatre.
We're just being kind of overwhelmed by this happening here and the growth of this show. And I was just saying, not many shows so authentically represent a community that it would work to do it like this, and it would have such meaning. And we were starting to talk about the different reactions to different moments. You were talking about the moose moment.
Yeah, I think when I first watched it in London and then again watched it, I was like, oh, I wonder if this line is because international people watching it would react, because it's it's
what do you think of when you think of Canada?
Line, because you think of what is a mainly Canadian known animal of moose, so people react. But then to see the reaction that this audience had.
This was a reaction of that's happened to each and every one of us.
Literally, it was a long section of the show, and I was like, I've never known. I would have never guessed that would be the moment that this audience. If anything, I thought, oh, that might be a moment that will be lost. But nope. It was this it was laughter of acknowledgement for yep, I've been there. And I was like, I did not expect the moose to be the thing that everybody was like, yep.
Well, we got told earlier, because
Tim Hortons moment.
Well, yeah, but we got told earlier that the shows have been brought forwards from 8 p.m. curtains to 7:30, as is the British way, so that people can drive home in lighter conditions to save the moose.
Yeah, so that they
listen. It happens.
Chance of getting into moose.
It happens. Watch out for those mooses.
Yeah,
I know the plural of moose is not mooses. Don't at me. What else was I just thinking of as you were? I loved the reaction for the gayest town in Newfoundland.
Yeah, everybody was yeah.
That was lovely. But we were getting told earlier, like you were saying, the Tim Hortons line that gets a joke everywhere else in the world, gets a laugh everywhere else in the world, doesn't always get a laugh here, because it's just very matter of fact. It's I start the day at Tim Hortons. This audience is just correct. Yes.
Yeah, that happens.
Just truth. Oh my God, hey. Good morning. Coming to you fresh from a good sleep at the Albatross Hotel in Gander, Newfoundland, which is still crazy to say, especially having seen Come From Away, having seen their new production of Come From Away here last night. We went out after the show and chatted all about the history and the development of the show and what it means to the community here, and how it's perceived, all this stuff, really interesting stuff. And there's so much more I want to tell you about this production and everything, but the thing that hit me the most is how much more impactful the show was, even having seen it multiple times, and I think I might have said this to you last night, having seen all of the places, because I can visualize it and conceptualize it, because a lot of it is sort of unthinkable, all of the 9/11 stuff and the grief of suddenly losing people and all of that side of it. And I was 6. I was having my 6th birthday party, because I was born in early September, when that was happening, and had never been to Canada. And so it's sort of, you empathize, of course, hugely with the show, but a lot of it, it was hard to conceptualize, I guess, which sounds silly, but it's a lot of it is the unimaginable. But then having spent the day walking around all the places and being and that's the school over there, you get a sense of the scale of the thing and how small this place is and how many people they took in, but also you can picture every single step of it, and it's so real, because it's I was stood there hours ago. We took 24 hours on planes to get here. And I don't think that's going to go away when I eventually, because I haven't seen the UK tour yet, but hopefully will do at some point this year. So when I see that production, when I see this show again for the rest of my life, I think that's going to be something that endures. Having now been here, is how much it hits me. But we're having a lovely, wonderful time. The weather's fantastic. The people are exactly as you would expect. So I mentioned that we stayed in our seats afterwards because we were waiting to chat to people, and the ushers were going around tidying up the seats and clearing away any leftover litter, of which there was barely any worth adding. And they're doing a thing for this production called We Were There, or We Are Here, where at the beginning of every show, 2 local people come on stage and share their story of where they were and what they did and how they were involved on that day. And it was a married couple who have been married for decades, and one of them was a lighting operator for the show, and the other one was the usher who scanned our tickets on the way in. And she came around and she was tidying at the end, and I said, with the last people sat in there, I said, would you like us to move to a row you've already tidied? And like instantly, giving it no thought whatsoever, she said, no, you stay, you are perfect where you are. And it was just such, everyone we've encountered has been so stereotypically the way that this community is depicted within the show, which has been very lovely. We actually have a little bit longer here today because our flight to Toronto, which is where we're heading to next, has been delayed. And, you know, we've had various delayed flights and flight chaos over the last few days, but this is actually kind of a good one because it gives us a little bit more time here. So not entirely mad about that. And we're going to head off. It's still early. It's just after 8 a.m. The UK election results came in last night, and it's still a pretty bleak political landscape, but there is a lot to celebrate about it. We didn't really get hungry for dinner yesterday. We had some poutine when we arrived at the airport in the afternoon, but we never really got hungry enough to go get dinner, and we kind of ran out of time. I've woken up very hungry this morning because of that, so going to go get breakfast and then go somewhere else to do something else come from away themed that is a bit of a drive away, which I'll be taking you on. So Aaron's in the shower. I'm gonna get ready. I didn't want to dress too much like a come from away fan yesterday to go see the show and like be around all of the real people who it's based on, but today I'm gonna wear my come from away t-shirt and my come from away socks and everything else on theme color-wise, and I'm not mad about that. Well, the Breakfast of Champions can be found back at the A&W near to the Albatross Hotel. Aeron is doing a little bit of work and enjoying a all-Canadian breakfast, minus the toast because I'm eating his toast, and coffee. And I had the English muffin, sausage and egg special that came with a hash brown, and Aaron's toast. And I've got an orange juice. Very nice. Exactly what we need. So we're going to the Dover Fault today, which is where Nick and Diane go and take photos and sing. A truck has arrived and sing "Stop the World." And I'm excited because I didn't think we were going to get to go there because it's not in Gander. Spoiler alert, and not to ruin the magic of the show, but there's a little bit of theatricalization around them, like being about to go on the plane and then they can't go on the plane because one has a flat tire, and then they go back to where they came from, and then they like they're told not to go too far, so they just go to the Dover Fault. It's like a 13-hour walk from Gander because they weren't actually, I think they were really different. Anyway, we're going there today, which is exciting, and we're not going to walk for 13 hours, we're driving. So here we are, that's Dover, Newfoundland down there, and this is the lookout point for the Dover Fault. It's a little lighthouse down there that Eagle Eyes Aaron James has just spotted. Just that away. Is it this way? Is this the fault line? I mean, it's gorgeous, and it's an incredible day for it. I think if you do find yourselves coming to Gander, this is absolutely, if you have the time, sort of an essential pilgrimage. It's kind of awe-inspiring, especially if you get weather like today. So this is the lookout spot up at the top, and you can see stunning views on either side, and this is basically a recreation of the photo. That's the moment there. I should move, I'm blocking all the scenery that the lovely Aeron James is modelling for us now. There you go. So if you come here, you have to recreate it for yourselves. So next stop on the Come From Away tour of Newfoundland, where are we, Aeron James?
We're in Appleton.
We are in Appleton, which is one of the other, so it's down the road a little from Gander. It's one of the other communities mentioned in the show. It's the one where it's when they have the parade of all the different mayors. It's the last mayor, and it's the one where
The barbecues.
where they round up all the barbecues and they have a cookout, basically.
Yeah,
but
and
also,
this park's named after him.
this park is named after
And
that
we
mayor.
met him.
And we did.
Last night.
Yes, we did. I forgot one of the many people
Yeah,
that
we met him last night.
last night. It's stunning and gorgeous, but also the reason that we've come here is because there are 4 pieces of steel, I think, from the World Trade Center at various points. We have seen 3 of them. So yeah, one of them is outside of the town hall in Gander. Another is at the airport, which was the one I showed you, and I'm going to show you this one here. This is the largest piece, I think, so we're going to come over and take a look at this one. There you go, there's a little bit of information about it there and telling the story of what happened, and there it is. There you go. Hopefully you can get a sense of the scale of that there. And it remains in pride of place, very highly regarded here in Newfoundland, here in Appleton. And it is, like I said, just all completely idyllic, because, you know, as well as having this historical intrigue, and for us as musical theatre fans, like getting to piece it all together, it's also just, the air is so fresh all around here. It's just so scenic, and I'm sure on a less stunning day, it's that little bit less spectacular, but still very serene and beautiful. And you have to imagine being stuck here would have been, as is depicted in the show and as is articulated in the show, a sort of an odd experience in that way. You've got to think, when all of those people were rerouted and displaced here and everything was happening in Manhattan, it's kind of, in terms of the atmosphere and in terms of the location, the furthest that you could be from that, because everything is so remote here, as they say, and is so calm and so quiet that it's sort of a blessing and a challenge at the same time to be somewhere so completely removed from that. And I understand that now, I think, a lot better, being here and trying to imagine being in this particular spot when all of that is happening simultaneously. The other thing that we were just talking about is, like, this being the exact spot. This is all, in the grand scheme of things, quite recent history.
Yeah.
Like, for a lot of other, like, shows and books and stories and films, when you're like, this is the spot where this would have happened for history.
It's like
and
nearly
real life
100 years old, or like
Yeah.
60 or...
This is, and like things have changed, and like the shoppers is different, and things have moved and things have been rebuilt, but a lot of it, you have to imagine, is as it would have been. I don't know if this particular structure was here, but
Yeah, it's not like where there'd be signs saying this is where stood the ... or you can see like the leftover bits from the original, like the Tim Hortons is the Tim Hortons, and it's kind of funny that like what is necessarily a chain store coffee shop is now like that specific one is like kind of historical in a sense, even though it's not that.
I think what I want to convey is, if this show means an awful lot to you, if this story means an awful lot to you, and you want to make the pilgrimage, I think you could call it. There's not a wealth of like attractions here. It's not a theme park destination, but
It's a nice holiday destination.
It's a lovely
If you
holiday
come during the
destination.
Good weather. It's breathtaking.
but there's just so much. It's very profound, and there's a lot of reverence, and it's all very striking, and there's an awful lot, just the small things and the small details, and like that was the spot where, and stuff that's one line in the show, it's so packed full of meaning in the writing as well, I think is a big part of it. That we've spent this entire 2 days just being overwhelmed by, oh my gosh, that was where. And so would encourage you to do so if you're considering making the trip. Like you saw, it can be a process to get to. It's not always that difficult.
No, like
to get to.
We had just 2 planes.
We had a bit of bad luck. If you were to ask me how I would travel now, I think I would take 1 flight to Toronto, stay overnight, and then get the 1 flight from Toronto to Gander the next day. I think when you're doing connecting flights, for the first one to be a transatlantic is always going to be a little bit bold. Because things can just go ever so slightly. Even if it hadn't been delayed, I think that hour and a half it would have been maybe a little bit challenging, or maybe not, because like the actual airport processes we've had this whole time have been
really quick,
seamless, and we're getting really good at airports after that travel. Finishing our magical Gander come from way experience with a return to one very important spot, that is Gander Airport, that I'm showing you one weird sidewall of. There you go, some of it over there. Maybe we'll go and get a better look at some, if any planes are here. Something is in fact landing. Oh, I think I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss the moment of landing, but a plane has just arrived in Gander. It's already gone over there. Oh, you can kind of see it over the crest of... Okay, we missed it. A plane came in, everybody. You're going to have to believe me.
Operated by PAL Airlines with service from Halifax.
There you go. You can see that Gander sign I showed you yesterday from the little upstairs gallery museum area. But we're going to go in and wait. We're still really early for our delayed flight onwards to Toronto. Aeron, James, do you have a favourite come from away thing that we have visited? Has it changed since the last time I asked you that question?
I think it's the Dover Fault.
Dover Fault was pretty magic. Even if it didn't have come from away significance, that was just pretty breathtaking. But it was very nice to be there with you. Because it's romantic. As in the themes of the show. Mine might be the same. Or honestly, that other park in Appleton, I don't know why, just... I think it's because we got told as we were approaching that a lot of people came there during the few days to just sort of sit and reflect, and I don't know, that just struck me.
No, I get that.
But and the airport itself, I mean, even from arrival, where else do you go somewhere and get excited just by the airport? And now we're gonna go back inside and get another plane. Our fourth plane to go to the fourth part of Canada. Once again, going back to a different time zone. Back into the Gander International Lounge, which is now just a hip and happening spot to hang out. And also, those people over there you're seeing, that's a cinema room. That's a 75-seat cinema. The come from way piano I showed you before. If you're wondering where things are, it's up those stairs. Is where I showed you all the boards with all the history. And there's a lot in here about just like the history of this terminal as well. I mean, it's a really fascinating building that has had an extraordinary life and evolution from what it was, and the iconic mural up there as well. We are waiting. In fact, our plane is here. I think we'll be boarding any minute now. Oh, my hair's doing something cute. Magically, I have no control over it at the moment. It does what it wants. Is it any surprise that the security staff that we've met here, who are sort of occupationally required to be very stern and serious, still do that, but find a way to do it in an incredibly friendly way. This is like the most chill airport experience you will ever have, because everyone is so nice here. Everyone is so nice here. We went to Rosie's bakery and restaurant for lunch, which was very popular, and we got desserts to go. You got a turtle cheesecake,
So good.
which was gluten-free. Yeah, Rosie's is the juniors of Gander, I've decided, and also the schmackeries,
Quite similar,
because I got cookies, and I still have half of them in my bag for the flight. So yeah, changed into our Crocs
And then do you only
because we are what?
80 gigs then?
We're Croc Messieurs.
Oh, yes.
And yeah, got a bit sleepy. Trying not to think too much about what the time is because it's going to change.
We're going to go backwards again because
And
we're
this is-
halfway to the UK, but then we're going back again.
And it's a surprisingly long flight. This is a 3.5-hour flight to Toronto. In my head, because it's domestic, I was like, that'll be short, but Canada's big.
Yeah.
So, what was it to Vancouver? It's like another 7 hours if we wanted to go to Vancouver.
Basically, we'd be flying back to the UK to get to the same amount.
Yeah. But excited to be going to see Toronto. I don't know when we're going to get back to Canada. If we're like, this is the thing, I'd like to get back to Canada. Never say never, but kind of I'm glad we're doing so much.
I'll download games so you can get better at it.
Is that a boarding announcement? Priority boarding. That's not us. But we'll be moving momentarily. Oh my god, hey.
Hello.
We are actually back in the UK. What you've just
Yes.
seen is us about to head to Toronto.
Yeah.
And we do go to Toronto.
We do.
With minimal travel chaos.
Yes.
Turns out, way easier to get to than Gander, Newfoundland.
Yes.
So stay tuned for that. The next part of this vlog series coming soon will be us going to Toronto. What show did we see when we were there? Maybe you already know because we already posted about it. But for this video, I wanted to make sure that we really answered any questions people might have about this production of Come From Away in Gander. And I am going to do a full review video. That's coming soon as well. Make sure you're subscribed, notifications turned on, all that good stuff. But I put a thing up on Instagram to see if anyone had any specific questions to make sure that those got answered. And we had 60 responses. So myself, my associate and fiance, Mr. Aeron James, and our guest, Commander Gander, will be answering those questions. So let's see what the people want to know about Come From Away in Gander. Question number 1, differences of the non-replica production. So some questions were asking like, is it the same as the original? It's a non-replica production, which means...
The materials are the same, but the staging is different.
There you go. Different creatives. So a
Yeah.
different set designer, a different director, which is like the central piece, like the entire creative vision of the show. The same stories being told, the same script, the
Same characters, same all of that. It's just when you look at the show, it's different, and maybe some of the choices are different.
Yeah, it's being realised in a slightly different way. This time last year I went to Brazil to go and see a non-replica production of Wicked. So Wicked, completely different design, different flying, all sorts of differences.
Like how the
yeah.
West End production of Next to Normal is completely different to the Broadway production.
A great example, yes, thank you, my love. And so the key difference is, I think, the set design, as we showed you, and there's no revolve, which
No
there
revolve.
also isn't in the most recent US tour or in the
Or
UK, tour. But it's just a very different characteristic. Rather than using the chairs, they use...
These suitcase blocks.
Yeah, they have this wall on the back. Things like props that get used throughout the show kind of get deposited and collected there. Like little pieces of memorabilia, and anytime they like hold something, it then ends up there and it becomes like the shelf that all of your memories
Yeah.
go on. It's just little choices that position the show slightly differently, because if you think about it, most productions have Come From Away, the audience is full of Come From Aways.
Yeah.
Right? It's people who aren't part of that community. And this one, the audience is predominantly
Newfoundlanders.
Newfoundlanders and people from
Islanders.
Gander. So they're telling a completely different story, except it's exactly the same. But they're telling it to different people, so...
They know that it's more people are going to laugh or react because they're recognising their own lives, rather than the other way around, where normally it's people being amazed by this community that is not like their own.
Yeah, yeah. What are the accents like? Do you know, I couldn't really tell you. And some of the cast members are from Newfoundland.
Yeah.
One of the swings is from Gander.
Yeah.
Patrina
Is a
Who
Newfoundlander.
is a Newfoundlander who was in the original Broadway cast as Bonnie and is now Bonnie and others, and is now playing Beverly and others in this production. Is a Newfoundlander.
It's interesting seeing Astrid, who's a Canadian, but doing Diane, so
Yeah.
doing the Houston, the Texas.
Astrid, if you don't know, played Beulah in the original production. So those are the two original Broadway stars who are back in this production of the show, but playing different roles to the ones that you might associate them with, which I think is smart because they have such fantastic, developed, nuanced performances over years as those other characters that any other actors coming into the show who hadn't been a part of that previous production couldn't put. They would be overshadowed by the character. Like, the show would become about Bonnie and Bueller, I think.
Yeah.
Because they would be so strong. So it feels a lot more balanced for them to be playing different characters. And it's also really interesting if you've seen that Broadway production or listened to the cast recording or watched the pro show or anything like that. Was it more emotional than you thought? Asks Steph. Yes.
Yes, I think it's a lot. It hits you a lot harder knowing that, like, just knowing that you're right where it happened, and like right outside that theatre is the world's biggest refrigerator, and the people around you were all part of that moment. Like, I feel like every single performance you will be in the room with people that were a part of that because the whole community were, and it really hits home what happened to that community on that day, and just how lovely every human was there. That is them, and I feel like now I could never look at the show. I feel there's such a deeper connection to that show, knowing just how true it is.
Yeah, and appropriately, Meg Hardy asked, is it easier to imagine the setting of the show now you've been there? And that's the thing that got me, was as they're describing it, and as they're describing the scenes where they're coming into the airport and being driven into town, all those things that we got to literally do and experience, I could now vividly picture it, and it makes it so much more real, and I think that's going to be an enduring thing when we see more productions in the future.
Realising just how close all those things are.
Yeah.
Like, the Comfort Inn where Beverly stopped, like, it's, like, was so close to everything else. Like, it's so small. Like, the Legion is right behind that Comfort Inn, and the Tim Hortons is right there. Like, they're all basically in, like, a 5 to 10 minute walking distance. All these things are next to each other. And so when you think that many people ended up there, it's kind of... It really is so, shocking in a way to think that it was that small.
Yeah, that really comes across. Meg also asked, is there any museum-like history at the theatre, any real-life pictures? Not from what I saw, but there's so much of that around town and everything's so close together.
Distance.
So the main exhibit about the show and about that day is at the airport.
Yeah, in the international section.
Yeah, but they also had those little signs that we did a very bad job of filming. I never filmed one of those signs, but at the moment that Aeron talked about them in this vlog, when we'd got to the hotel and he was saying how all around town they have these signs, the reason I put that footage over the top is you can just see one at the end there, that blue and yellow. They're shaped like planes, and they're standing by the key areas. So there's one by the hockey rink, and all the different places.
Everywhere you go in Gander, you'll find the signs that mark this is income from away.
And I didn't really talk about it, but at the Dover Fault as well, there's a little discovery centre that talks really about the geography and the history of the Dover Fault, but also talks extensively about Nick and Diane.
Yeah.
They are very much leaning into and embracing that now being part of their history, which is lovely and amazing.
Yeah.
Lots more questions that kind of saying the same thing. How expensive and how difficult was it to get there from the UK? You've seen how difficult it was. I think I said at some point during this video the way I would, in hindsight, now travel there, which would be to fly to Toronto or to Montreal, like to fly to somewhere you can get to directly from the UK, plan to spend the night there, and then fly the next day.
Don't try and do it all in one go.
I think it's so fraught.
Yeah, I agree.
And we've had I mean, even the flight coming back was delayed. Like, the day we woke up, we found out hours in advance it was just going to be delayed. Like, it can happen so easily. And today, coming back from the US, and I wasn't vlogging our return trip, so you wouldn't have seen this at all, but we had to wait for buses to get us off, and we were at the back of the plane. So I think we were like an extra 35 minutes waiting just to get away from the plane area. So I think avoid all of that stress and get yourself to Canada. The other thing you can do is you can fly from London Gatwick Airport to St John's, which is on Newfoundland, and then drive, or like rent a car, or I don't know if there's public transport. There's not many taxis.
I don't think there's
not
really
Ubers.
much public transport in Newfoundland.
No. But if you're like meeting someone there or whatever it may be, or you can rent cars, but I think it's expensive. And in terms of the price, it's it's going to vary.
I think also it's probably worth because I feel like if you're planning to like go anywhere else, after being in Gander.
Oh, worth having a car, you mean?
No, I'm well, maybe, but I mean more for if you're planning to go into either different parts of Canada or do what we did, and like you're exploring other places, it might be easier to do what we did for jet lag wise, and you go for 5 hours back, which is what most of Canada and the US are in, and then go to that 3.5 in between land, which is Gander, because then if you go back to Toronto or Montreal, you're at least a bit. You're kind of working to.
It was weird to wrap our heads around being in the different time zones, but it didn't feel difficult, and it didn't feel more fatiguing than usual international travel. I think. I was going to say, in terms of price, it's going to vary at different times throughout the year. It's going to vary depending on exactly where you go and how far in advance you buy your tickets, so I don't want to put anyone off by saying an exact thing. For both of us, I believe it was a 4-figure price tag. It was more expensive than flying to New York, and you're flying somewhere very specific. So that comes with that as well. But it's something to look into for yourselves, and I would if you're considering doing this, I can really recommend it. It was a really beautiful experience. Charlotte has asked, what's the atmosphere of the area like? Are people as warm as they are in Come From Away? And I touched on this talking about the usher that we met at the theatre, but yeah.
They are so lovely and just so hospitable and so want to know about you. Like, they want to know you, and they don't. There's no kind of trying to figure out who you are or anything before they talk to you or anything. It's just like an open hug. Mm-hmm. So yeah, just literally just how they are in the show.
Yep. Is it a family show? Would you recommend that kids see it? Yeah. I think there's
nothing in it that's.
There's a couple of naughty words.
But nothing that's kind of like.
Only like at a slightly rowdy, like, adult barbecue.
Yeah.
Like, there's no kind of grown-up content. There's a whole level when it talks about, when it touches on grief, and it's really not explored extensively because it's mostly about kind of being separated from it. But
it's also it's also a very helpful way to maybe explain to younger people, like, about the history of, like, the 9/11 and things that have happened in history, and
but it also instills remarkably good values. I think, and so maybe for not like toddlers.
No, but I think it's more for like if you're thinking teenagers or like younger children, like
10, 11, 12. Like
primary
you can have great
kids.
Conversations after Come From Away. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, yes. No, that's a really good point. Thank you for saying that. Were there any moments that got a different audience reaction compared to non-Newfoundland? Now, there's the bit in this video where you talked about the moose line.
Moose. When they say the moose line, I felt like in the UK and everywhere, like people laugh because it's just funny, like, oh, moose, like Canada. And like, just like...
They're like, imagine seeing a moose on the road.
Exactly.
That's hilarious.
And like,
ha 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 ha.
But the laugh was so loud in Gander, and it's because... that whole audience had an acknowledgement of, I have been there with a moose, just like that, I know what that's like.
They're laughing because they're like, yeah, that's true. And they know it's funny,
amazing.
They can hear it's funny, but it's also true.
It's an acknowledgement that is accurate, that moose, that is what happens in Newfoundland.
It's also an acknowledgement that the whole show is accurate, because you couldn't do it there and have misrepresented their culture.
Because you would have known from their reaction that this was not them, and how they reacted kind of was like, all
That's
of this is
the authenticity
real.
tick.
Yeah.
The other thing I was going to say about the moose laugh is that it comes earlier because they already know.
Yeah, they already
So
know
when
what
it's
it's
just
going to
like
be.
they break this out, that there's the reason I drive, and that's the reason I
Yeah,
drive
there was a
slow.
laugh very early.
A British audience, a Broadway audience, has to wait for, like, maybe they suspect, like, I think an American audience, who's
Maybe
visiting Canada,
they'll
probably
have an
suspect
idea.
it's a moose. But the Newfoundlanders, the Gander audience, know already
Yeah.
exactly what's coming there. So that's very charming. And there was a handful of other moments as well, because by and large, they don't find their own behaviour remarkable.
No, like the Tim Horton scene, they kind of... The laughter that they had was just like, oh, that's real. But it wasn't like, oh, that's so funny that that's how people are. Because they're like, no, that's us.
It's like, it's funny that that's how people see
Yeah.
us and think that that's unusual, because that's just ordinary to us. And like the scene with when it's like, they helped me steal all their own barbecues.
Yeah, like there was laughter, like you'd expect in most scenes, but it was
They're
a laughter
charmed
more
by
of
the depiction of them.
Yeah,
is
it's more
how
of a
it felt.
laughter of being accurate rather than
Yeah.
a laughter of being like, oh, that's so funny. They're laughing just because they're like, oh, we
Yeah.
never thought of ourselves like that.
Yeah. Was it as amazing as it sounds? Yes. Did you meet Beulah? We were introduced
Yes,
to
we
Beulah.
saw Beulah. Yes.
Yes.
Same as we met Brian Mosher, who along with Janice became Janice Mosher.
Became Janice Mosher. Yeah, he was sat next to us.
Yeah. Also, is just how you'd expect.
Bonnie was sat near me and still
Yeah.
works at the
Yeah.
SPCA, is that what
Yeah.
they call it? And I think we're allowed to say this, that the show has helped to fund the new SPCA
Yeah, they're building
building,
a new one.
which is one of the other things that blows my mind. Like, we can talk about like who wins the Tony and like who makes like the best show on stage and like all of these things. How many musicals are that involved with the community that they depict? That they're helping to fund the new SPCA in the town where that when I heard that, and it's just so like casual as a thing that they're doing.
It's how many musicals make such an impact on a community and like create so much awareness. It's really heartwarming.
Does each person attending get some screech? What were they?
No, they sell Screech Punch, which is a drink that I think exists. It's like a soda. It's
Yeah.
like an alcoholic soda pop, but they don't screech people in. That's still very much like its own ceremony that happens like at the Legion.
Yeah.
So no, you won't get screeched in if you see the show.
Yeah, and
But you can try screech.
This was the only devastating thing about our delay, is we were scheduled to get screeched in the night before when we didn't get to Gander. And then we didn't get a chance to because the Legion was closed by the time we had
On
seen the
the
show,
one
and
night.
that was our only evening there.
Yeah.
So we didn't get Screech. And I'd tried Screech years before in that little clip you saw when the show reopened. Have you tried it?
No.
You'd probably like it more than me, is the
Probably.
ironic thing.
Yeah.
Does the water make you gay? Too late is the answer to that one. Did the cast revert back to the original 12? Last year it was 16 and worked really well.
We went back to the 12.
Back to the 12. So this is something, it's a 12-person cast in the original Broadway, now touring, soon-to-be Canada production. That version of the show that you know, that has 12 cast members, each playing multiple roles.
Yeah.
For example, Jen Colella in the original Broadway cast played both Beverly Bass and Annette. And they separated some of the multi-rolling last year when this production first came to Gander, its first time there, and they had a cast of 16, and they have reverted back to the 12. I don't know that it made an enormous amount of difference.
But there's some of the changes that were made for the 16 that when they've gone back down to the 12, some people do things that had been changed for the 16.
Sure.
Because it was like little differences of which character did at this moment, as like which track did something in their multi-rolling, and it was like, oh, that's not the character that in the like OG production does that track.
But teeny tiny
But
little
it's so
things.
tiny. It's mainly those little scenes when it's like a one scene character that you don't see again. None of the main characters.
Exactly. But it's an incredibly special piece of theatre, the fact that it's happening there. It's a special piece of theatre all around the world, but this production there feels so acutely special and specific. Apologies for the audio getting weird on that. I don't know what the microphone issue was. We are re-recording the end of the video that we already recorded to say if there are any more questions, then you can address them to myself, to my beautiful fiance Aeron James, or to our associate Commander Gander, in the comment section of this video and we will let you know. But stay tuned for my full review of the show, where I will talk about like its ethos and how it works and what's different and what's the same and how I felt about it. Stay tuned as well for the next part of our Canada vlog. Our Canada trip did not end in Gander. We headed on to Toronto for both of our first time in Toronto to go see a musical there. That is still to come, probably next weekend. And what else do the people need to do, Aeron, James?
Make sure to subscribe so you don't forget.
Yeah, subscribe, turn on notifications, and go follow us both on social media to see cute pictures of us together at the Dover Fault. In the meantime, I hope that everyone is staying safe and that you have a stagey day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
For 10 more seconds, I'm Mickey Joe Theatre. Oh my god, hey, thanks for watching, have a stagey day. Subscribe!